wait to make sure this thing's actually up. Wait till I see something show up there in the thumbs up or the little icon there. Make sure we're actually live. Somebody could let me know. Maybe I could just start off with the date and all that information. Oh, there we go. 5 by 5. Superb, superb. There we are. Uh, yeah, today's still Veterans Day, the 11th of November, 2021. You saw me all rant this morning about how unfortunate things are in our country and all the subterfuge and the deceit and the lawlessness of the government and the lawlessness and the way that the law enforcement agencies and the military are actually against the American people now and only for themselves. I've already said all that, but the reason why I thought I better come on now, over the last year in particular, I've had people want to get into very detailed um, religious discussions on Twitter. And I'll go back and forth a little bit with you on Twitter, but I'm not going to do a dissertation on Twitter. And I've talked about this before. It's not the place. It's too hard to do. I mean, I might go and do a thread of 5 or 6 tweets, maybe. Beyond that, I'm just not going to do it. And there's no way to do a proper um, communication and dialogue. Hi, Roosevelt. So I've said in the past I'm not going to do my historical dissertations on Twitter. I'll make a few statements. You can accept it, reject it, but I would hope that you go and you research it for yourself, and then you maybe bring it up on a YouTube channel of your own, and you can explain that you've put it up, and I can go look at it, and then maybe we can have a dialogue, by doing something like that where it gets into some real detail. But I'm not going to do dissertations on Twitter. Now, along that same line, today, for instance, the subject of evolution came up, and I just made one statement, and that's all I was going to do. I said that the theory, and I've talked about this before, the theory of evolution flies in the face of the second law of thermodynamics, the law of entropy. If you don't know what that is, please go look at it. You'll find out. Remember, the theory of evolution is only a theory. The law of the second law of thermodynamics is a law of physics. Okay, so we're trying to show that the theory of evolution doesn't stand up. Well, I had some people come on and they said a couple of intelligent things. Obviously, they're pretty aware of the situation. And it got into the point where I could tell that they wanted me to go and dance with them on Twitter with this back and forth situation where we're going to get into everything from the second law of thermodynamics to string theory to quantum mechanics to astronomical physics. And I'm just not going to do that, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the place to do it. If you have something to say about it, put it up. If you don't agree that the second law of thermodynamics is in direct contradiction to the theory of evolution, put something up about it. Don't argue. Don't try to do a long dissertation on Twitter. One gentleman, I appreciate both of them that came on. It's not that I don't appreciate their intelligence and their input. It's just that I'm not going to do it on Twitter. Okay, and I've said that plenty of times. One individual, obviously very intelligent. I don't know if he's, an actual scientist or if a science, this particular thing is a hobby of his. But he was pretty well informed. My point is, in the arguments that we were having back and forth, my point is that without some type of energy input into a system, it has a tendency to go to more simple forms, not more complex. That's the second law of thermodynamics. Now they started bringing in, well, the Earth isn't a closed system, and what about the cloud? Out of the gas clouds that stars and galaxies are made. You missed my point. My point was that there's something else going on besides randomness, which is what the theory of evolution basically says. That in some miraculous way, you know, you got a junkyard and all the parts just suddenly come together and make a Corvette, you know, sports car. Okay? And no, that's not how it works. Unless there is intelligent design taking those parts and putting them together. Be it God or whatever you want to call it, there's something else other than the randomness that the theory of evolution tries to say. Now, they'll go on. I understand the people. You know, I took biology as a pre-med major. I know all about, you know, well, the DNA is the controller and, you know, it's doing this and it's putting these things together. And I understand that. But that doesn't work, okay? Yeah, my outbook evolved from a cockroach, right? So, in other words, the gentleman that I was discussing those things with, I finally said, you're missing my point, and I'm not here to do a doctrinal dissertation. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood. I don't mean to be rude, okay? It's just that Twitter is not the place. Make a statement, okay, like somebody did, and I responded to it about, you know, evolution as opposed to entropy, and you know, fine, you can say a couple of statements after that, but I'm not going to banter back and forth with you endlessly in a scientific skepticism debate. Okay, I'm just not going to do that. Not there. Okay, not any disrespect, but I just want you to know where I'm coming from. So I finally just had to tell them go their way, because I'm not gonna get locked into that. In why Biden evolved from dinosaur turds? Well, that's good, Roosevelt. Okay, one last thing. I don't know why, but I have been inundated with, and people are going to say, gee, Roy, you're lucky. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Roosevelt, and Roosevelt was saying, you know, there are a lot of men that would envy this that you're going through. And I'm trying to say, no, you don't understand. It's not what you think. I have been inundated on my Twitter and DM accounts with, I'm not even sure they're women, but they pose as women, okay? You know how that is. Some of these pictures are really doctored. You know, obviously, you know, they're playing with on their phone to make themselves look different. Whatever's going on there. I've had dozens of these over the last little while. And I very rarely engage in conversations with them, even on DMs. But they'll start out like it looks like they kind of have something of interest to say. And then all of a sudden I'll start getting 56. I mean, one of these had 56 tweets in it, DM tweets. That's just one. And I had many others. Well, if I pay attention to those things and try to read all through that and answer everybody, you see what's happening? I'm getting tied up on stuff that doesn't matter. Look, if you live 1,000 miles away from me, even if these are real women, okay, and I'm not patting myself on the back, I know what's going on here. If you live 1,000 miles away from me, do you really think I'm going to have a cyber affair with you? I don't do that, okay? That's not what I'm looking for. And if that's what you're looking for, you got a problem, okay? This is the time when we need to get out of the cyber things and have real, intimate, you know, person-to-person relationships. And over 1,000 miles, it ain't going to happen. I mean, what was that? There was a film back in, what was it, the 90s? I think it was Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. And I forget what it was about, but I think it was they had this dating thing they were doing on the internet. She lived in Seattle, and I think he was in New York. And I forget the name of it, but, you know, all of a sudden, you know, they meet in the Eiffel Tower at New York and, you know, big love affair. Ladies and gentlemen, no, I'm not going to do that, okay? It just ain't going to happen. So if they're real people doing this, that's what I'm telling you. But I'm also telling you that I think it's trying to divert me to take up my time. And I'm just not going to take that bait for very long. You know, I'll entertain a few little back and forth, but if you don't give me anything of substance to look at, or if you tell me you live 1,700 miles away, which may be true or not, I don't know, but if you tell me that, I'm not going to keep dealing with you. I'm just not. If you're a woman, I'm not going to do it. Okay, not unless you can have the time to travel and do all that stuff. Forget it. It's not it's not going to happen. If you're a guy and you're pulling this, or you're a bot, or whatever they call those, I'm going to consider you that when you constantly have me dragging along on things, and I'm finally just going to have to ignore you. I usually won't block you, although I should, I suppose, but I don't like being rude, but sometimes it becomes necessary. So I just wanted to explain to everybody that Twitter is not the place for relationships. It's not the place for doctoral dissertations, and I'm not going to get dragged into it, okay? Not unless I see something really substantial. And if it's substantial, well, maybe we'll work something out. Now, one last thing. And I have family members that look into a lot of these different things. I have no problem with speculating, with talking about theories, talking about different ideas on the universe. Whether the Earth is flat, or in this case, whether evolution is true or not, as opposed to the second law of thermodynamics and how they interact. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, to those of you who are spiritually oriented, uh, uh, being stuck on whether the earth is a sphere or flat, or whether it's shaped like a square, whether the dome overhead keeps everything out and there is no space. Look, those are nice things to talk about, but they're not going to do anything for your salvation. They're not going to do anything to put food on the table tomorrow. They're not going to do anything to keep the government from coming and plunging a device in your child's arm. You've really got to prioritize what's important. Now, you might say, well, Roy, how come you give your spiritual discussions? Well, I'm not arguing about things that don't matter. I'm not arguing about whether the earth is flat or round. I'm not arguing about whether the theory of evolution is true or not. I'm talking about things that have to do with our relationship with the Creator, with our own character and personality, with what's right and wrong, righteous and unrighteous, historical events that have occurred that impact us and that we should take into consideration as we deal with the events that are presented to us in our lives today. I'm not saying that it isn't good to have a diversion once in a while from all this serious business that's going on. For instance, Saturday night, I've been invited to a thing called a game night. I've never been to one. Apparently, they make food, and I guess it's a competition about who can make. So I guess that's what it is. I really don't know. I'm going to find out when I get there. Well, of course, I'm going to have a diversion like that. You need to have the social time, right? And maybe that's the time to have some discussions on whether the earth is flat or round, or evolution is true or not. Okay? Or the Green Bay Packers with Rodgers, with what he's going through now, as opposed to all the other sports people, whatever. You need those diversions, okay? But I'm not going to do it on Twitter. All right? So please forgive me, but and I didn't mean to be rude today to the two gentlemen that I guess they're gentlemen. I don't even know that anymore. The two gentlemen there on Twitter where we were talking about this evolution thing. I'm sorry if you're locked onto that on Twitter, maybe that's your diversion, okay? And that's fine, you can have it, but I'm not going there. I've got bigger things to cook right now, okay? We've all got bigger things to do right now than to get into those arguments that have nothing to do with whether or not we're going to wake up tomorrow morning and have food on the table, or whether they're coming for our kids in the schools, or whether they're going to draft your daughters because they've thrown so many good, efficient operators out of the military now that they've got to fill those spaces up with your sweet little feminine daughters. You really want that? You really want that? Those are the issues right now you better be concentrating on. Biden's cutting down the supply chains, but he didn't start it. Trump did. Those are the issues that we need to be focused on right now. Okay? I hope I've made myself clear. I hope I haven't upset anybody. I don't like being rude. I don't. But sometimes it just comes down to that. All right. Okay. That's all I got. I just want to make sure I got that cleared up. I am going to put this up on Twitter for the people that follow me on Twitter, so they'll see it. And it's been a little longer than they'll probably want to sit and watch it, but I hope they'll get the idea. Okay. And this isn't the first time I've said I'm not going to do dissertations on Twitter. Okay. This isn't the first time. And ladies, if you're really serious about getting a hold of me, the DMs are a nice way to do it. But keep it cordial and keep it to the point. All right. I don't need 56 tweets in one DM series. That just ain't gonna do it. All right, that's not gonna work. All right, all right. You're wondering. Well, I'll just leave it at that. Okay, everybody. Hey, thanks for missing Monty. Yeah, has he not been up for a while? Sometimes he's newly married, so he's gonna have to have some time on his own now. What was that? Please send only one first per day to where it's. Roosevelt, you always put things in an interesting light. On Monty, be a little gentle on him. He's newly married, okay? He's got to pay some attention to his wife, okay? And I wouldn't expect any less. And good on him for being able to get a relationship going in this time where things like that are so hard to accomplish. I'm happy for him. God bless him. Everybody take care. Out for now.